his modified Scourge.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, like that. I just have to do this at Orion. I spelled something. Just want you to know that. For anyone wondering.
That's What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Hope you guys are all having a wonderful holiday season. I know Christmas, if you guys celebrate that, is just right around the corner, and the new year is literally right around the corner as well. And I gotta say, this year has just flown by. And I first and foremost want to say I appreciate everyone who's actually been on this journey, who has subscribed to this channel and has been watching the videos back to back. But let's get into today's video real quick and straight to the point. If you guys haven't watched the last video, I'll leave a link in the description, or a little card on whichever corner it comes up. I don't know if it's this one or that one. But let's get into the sad news. And honestly, I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. I've been dreading, really dreading recording this video, because we have a big issue with Clifford. So in the last video, we finally picked Clifford up and we took him to the shop to get an oil change. And well, let's just say from there, things just kind of started falling apart. Let me pop the hood of the car and then kind of just get into it. And yeah, guys, this was a video I really didn't want. I did not want to record. I knew I was going to eventually have to do this, but considering I just got the car and just a lot of bad things happened in a very short span of time. But we got into the hobby of cars, and I knew that this hobby was a very expensive hobby, and honestly what I'm doing isn't the smartest thing to boost a V6 Mustang. But hey, it is what it is. We live and we learn. But again, let's turn on the car and I'll show you the unfortunate thing that I'm dealing with. Alrighty guys, well, I don't know if you guys can hear me very well or hear the issue, but I'll take you guys really close to the engine real quick. But the unfortunate part, I'll get into it once I turn off the car, but if you guys can hear it, I have engine knock. It's kind of more of a ticking than a knock. I honestly don't know what it is. I don't know if I hurt a piston, a cylinder, a rod. I don't know what I did to the car, but let me bring you a little closer. So what I can tell you, if you guys hear that the knocking unfortunately is on the passenger side. It's on one of these cylinders. I don't recall if it's cylinder 2, 4, 6 or how these are oriented, but it is on this side of the cylinders. And as you can hear, that sound is a huge no, which is why, unfortunately, this engine is no longer good. I'm no longer going to be running this engine. So now that you've heard it, let me turn off the car before it gets worse. Alright, well guys, now that you've heard the unfortunate news, and honestly what I was like trying to explain earlier that I was not anticipating, I was not expecting, and I was not wanting to do, is unfortunately I'm gonna either A, have to rebuild this engine, or B, replace the engine. And honestly, I already got everything sorted out. I already got all the parts, all the pieces, and this is why I didn't record the video or post anything right after I posted the last video, to give you the full details and the full explanation of what happened and how this ended up happening to me. Let's just get straight into it. I'm actually going to set you guys up. I'm just going to honestly just sit inside the car, because I haven't actually been in this car for about a month now, or maybe a couple weeks. I don't know how long it's been. The last drive I've done was probably the drive when I took it out and did the oil change. But yeah, let's hop in there and then just kind of discuss what's going on with the car, what the next plan is, and then what everything else is going to happen. But yeah. Alright guys, now that we are in Clifford, let's get straight into what led to potentially basically damaging this engine and everything on it. So let's start from the very beginning, kind of backtrack to the day I picked this up from Auto Mafia Racing. And yeah, so long story short, something that I didn't discuss or really talk about at the time, because honestly I didn't think it mattered, or I didn't care to, because I mean, why should I? But the day I picked this car up and actually went out to Montana to kind of, again, take the delivery of it and drive it back home, I feel like this is part of the issue and kind of what led to this, but who knows? I mean, this car, to be 100% honest with you guys and be fully transparent, the engine has 125,000 miles and is originally with this car. One, I got it at 60,000 or 70,000 miles, somewhere around there. And since the moment I've got it, I've driven the living shit out of this car. I've dogged the shit out of it. Of course, I've done my maintenance, I've done my oil, I've done everything you should. But I've driven it hard. By no means has this car had an easy life since I picked it up. So let's start there. But anyways, to the day that I picked it up, you know, I didn't record much. I didn't show much of Wester. I don't even think I even got a clip of him. But anyways, when I picked up the car, him and me got in the car. We took it for a drive. We let the car warm up. And he wanted me to do a pull in the car with him so that way I can experience the boost. That day that I drove it when I was in Montana, it was super, super cold, which if you guys know anything about weather and how that affects turbos, the colder it is, the denser it is, which means more boost and just more power. But this car is tuned for, at minimum, I think 6 or 7 psi up to 14. 14 is when they did the 575 horsepower run. Anything above that, you're pretty much going into the territory if you're going to blow the engine 100%. And even with the boost I'm running, I mean, there's a high chance of me blowing the engine because, I mean, let's be honest, this engine's not meant to hold boost. It's not overbuilt like the 5.0s. So kind of makes it a little hard to understand what happened and why. But anyways, that day, the first pull that I did, I had my boost settings pretty low and dialed down because, I mean, I was just trying to do a quick little pull just to experience it. But surely, as we get into the pull, we were at about 5,000 RPM. I want to say like 75% throttle. We hit 16.5 or 16.9, something on the realm of 16 pounds of boost. So over boosted. The car was trying to release some of that exhaust because you can literally hear the screamer pipe letting go. Even then, we overboosted. To me, that is a big no-no. We overboosted by a good chunk. Super cold again, and you know, it is what it is. That day it happened. And yeah, I mean, that happened. Nothing really to me got damaged by that pull, but you know, from there we ended up driving 18 hours home, and then shortly after, that's when we heard that tick. And again, I was like, it wasn't too loud at the time. I didn't really care too much about it, but this is kind of where things kind of snowballed and kind of got worse. I ended up doing the oil filter, the oil change with my friend Dylan. Didn't really see much in the oil. You know, you can see I was asking, it didn't look burned, it didn't look metally. Then again, this is kind of where things unrolled. So that last video, if you guys know, at the end clips, I was telling you guys, hey, we're gonna get on the highway, I'm gonna do a pull, I'm gonna finally experience what the car really can do, because at 16 pounds of boost, I mean, it put me in my back, and it got me so excited. But I didn't want to actually break the car while still in Montana, aka when I drove the car back to back home, I honestly didn't get on at all. I was literally just cruise control the whole way. But this is kind of where things started falling apart and kind of getting exponentially worse, and kind of where I knew, yeah, I need to swap this engine or do something. So I started driving. I had to check engine light, of course, because I don't have 3 O2 sensors, because I'm only running 1 O2 sensor because that's how the kit comes. I knew I was going to have a check engine light. Didn't think much about it. But anyways, we finally get on the highway. I'm going to gun it. Again, I'm dialed down to about, give or take, 8 or 9 pounds of boost. That's what the aim was. And again, I over boosted, but backtrack a little bit. So I gun it in second gear. I'm hauling gas. You know, in 2,000 RPM, I'm starting to build boost, I'm starting to build RPM, and I stopped the pull at around 5,000 RPM. Again, the turbo wants to go straight to 13 pounds of boost, so I'm thinking maybe a spring in the external wastegate, it's too high. I'm going to end up changing it out, and we'll talk about that in what we're going to follow. We'll talk about that later on, what we're actually going to end up doing with this car and how we're going to remedy all the issues. But yeah, anyways, so I'm building up boost, and at 4,000 RPM, the car literally starts to cut power. I can feel that it started to hesitating. I'm still, again, at like 12, 13 pounds of boost, which again, my target was 10. So something going on there. But soon as I hit that 13.24 pounds of boost and 4,000 RPM, the car did not like that and literally started to backfire because I misfired. You know, the car literally sounded like I was doing anti-lag while I was trying to do a pull. You heard pops and bangs in the back. and that's kind of when things kind of went south. From that moment, the check engine light started flashing, and if any of you guys car people who know that, that means you got a misfire. And to me, it's not a normal misfire. It's not like you misfired here and you just got to check engine light. You're misfiring pretty bad, in my opinion. From that moment on, I'd stopped driving the car pretty hard. I was driving the car normally. Then I was like, okay, well, this is a bigger issue. And that's kind of when the ticking or knocking or whatever you want to call that sound kind of progressed and got a little louder. And then from that point on, I asked Dylan, because he still had my oil filter. This was that same day. Hey, do you mind opening that up tomorrow? Showing me some details. And I think I have a video or picture of what it looked like. But there was definitely metal debris in the filter that got captured, thankfully, and hopefully stayed there and didn't do catastrophic damage to the engine. But yeah, that's not good. We have metal deposits. So again, another red flag of like, damn, I've probably fucked this car up, this engine, in between me picking it up and coming back home and everything else. Because again, I mean, Auto Mafia Racing, I mean, they did the polls, they did the graphs. I mean, on the dyno, it looked good. So by no means am I blaming them. Do I think they have anything to do with, why the engine's probably fucked? And excuse my language, I try so hard to cuss, but I mean, it's screwed. And honestly, I was going to drive the car as is with the ticking or knocking, but then it kind of hit me that I probably can damage the turbo by getting metal debris and metal stuff, going through that. So I decided I'm just going to park the car, and what are we going to do next? I mean, my options are very limited. Again, I've already put a lot of money into this car because of the turbo kit and everything else. So I don't want to 5.0 swap it. I don't want to look that route because that's a ton of money. And ultimately, what I'm going to end up doing, and what you're going to see in the next video, is we're going to end up taking this engine out. I'm going to replace it with another engine, bolt a turbo kit back in. Because again, I fully think that what Auto Mafia did on their side was solid. Again, if I didn't, I would not be potentially putting this kit back on. If I didn't, I wouldn't be putting this kit back on. I would probably be taking the car back to stock. But no, I'm going to be putting the kit back on and running the kit. And hopefully not blowing this engine. But I'm going to be doing some changes and some supporting things to help hopefully not blow this engine as quickly. Again, guys, the reason I say as quickly is because we're adding boost to a car that was never meant to have boost. I'm eventually going to blow it again, and I totally understand that. And that is a risk I'm willing to take. And by no means am I saying the turbo kit's not reliable. It's just you guys have to think realistically and think with your brain. Like, they're not meant to hold boost. They're not meant to be boosted. You're adding a lot of pressure, a lot of force, and a lot of stuff to a car that just isn't built to hold that up. So again, the reality is I'm probably going to blow this engine again. When? I'm hoping not anytime soon, because the new engine I got is lower miles than this engine. And let's go take a look at that, and let's talk about the game plan of what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, so now that we're in the garage, let's go ahead and discuss the next game plan and what I'm going to end up doing in the next video. And hopefully, if everything works out, I'm going to be doing the weekend of New Year's. So hopefully by New Year of 2024, we should have Clifford back up and running, and I have, like I said, a ton of other videos ready to be recorded and done to the car. I need the car running. Just to give you an example, I got the new wheels, I got the front runners, or the front wheels, so I can finally get wheels on that and just put wheels all across the board on the car. Also got headlights, and then I have other cosmetic things I want to do now that Clifford is finally back. But let's go check out some of these boxes and what we have over here. So one, I ended up deciding to buy a used engine. I was planning on building mine, but I'm gonna be completely honest, funding wise, I don't got enough money to do that. I started asking around how much people would charge me to sleeve the block if I needed to, because if I completely damage the cylinders, I'm probably gonna need to sleeve it again. And I was gonna do a factory sleeve so that I can do a factory piston and that kind of stuff. Not really factory. Let me rephrase that. I was going to do a factory size piston and factory size stuff, but I was going to do a H-beam, a manly H-beam, bigger / stronger piston, just stronger internals that I can do. But after doing the math and everything else, it just didn't make sense for me to do it. To give you a price estimate, it was going to be roughly $10,000 to do all that. And honestly, for that amount of money, I'd rather just save that. And also something I'm looking to do in the future is potentially buy a 2024 Mustang, a 5.0 this time. And that's a lot of money that I can potentially put on that car. But until then, I still need that red car, Clifford, to run because it is my daily. So that being said, we ended up getting this engine. This is out of a 2017 Mustang. Of course, it's a V6 because it's the exact same engine that I'm running. So what we're gonna end up doing is we're gonna open this block up, not completely, but we're gonna end up doing a lot of maintenance on it. Like I'm gonna do a bunch of valve gaskets. I'm gonna be doing new manifold gaskets. I'm gonna be opening the timing parts and doing new gaskets there, a new water gasket. I bought a lot of gaskets and a lot of things. That way I don't end up having to do them later because I don't want this engine to end up leaking by any means. So yeah, we're going to be uninstalling the turbo kit. We're going to be removing my old engine and then doing this. And then I also bought some goodies and a couple of things to hopefully help the build. And as you can see, I ended up buying something from Auto Mafia. So that all being said, guys, if you guys do plan on ever purchasing any Auto Mafia racing stuff, any tune products, anything like I'm about to show you guys in just a second, please help me out and support me by using the link in the description. I ended up signing up to be an affiliate with them. So basically, if you guys purchase anything through Shopify, I get a very, very small kickback. And again, that's just one way you guys can support the build and me personally. Again, I still am going to support them. I'm still going to be repping them. Of course, blowing the engine up isn't something I want to experience, but again, I don't blame them. It's the nature of what we do and what we like. So let's open this box up and let me show you what the next steps of the car are, besides the engine, of course. So one thing, of course, I bought new spark plugs. Obviously, we can't use those that are in here, and then I don't want to use the ones that are on my current engine, just to make sure that I don't screw anything up. Those could be damaged, and honestly, I just don't even want to risk using used spark plugs. But let's see what we got. Let's see what kind of goodies we have in here and what additional stuff we're going to end up doing to the car. So first and foremost, one thing that I want to improve on the build is right now on the kit. I mean, you guys don't need to do this. You guys can literally run what I'm running on the kit currently. But what I ended up buying is a oil pan with a T fitting right here. That way the oil actually just comes back to the oil pan. So right now, if you guys don't know, if you don't know, on the kit we actually end up running an external pump, so that way the oil from the turbo, so that way when the oil comes from the engine to the turbo and then goes into the pump and back into the actual top. Something that I necessarily don't like. Not because the architecture, the way it is bad, because it does the job very good. But the reason that I wanted to do this was, one, if I'm going to replace the engine, to me it makes the most sense, because this is a lot easier once the engine's out than when I'm trying to do this while the engine's in, because you need to drop the whole subframe or you need to remove the engine like I'm currently doing. So again, just makes the most sense. And two, and one of the bigger reasons that I'm doing this is, wow, they are using a very good quality oil pump, because I mean they don't typically go bad, but one day it can. So for me, it's just a mental, if I'm already going to be doing all this work to removing the old engine and getting the new one in, that's something I wanted to do. And then also for me, an annoying part of that oil pump is not extremely loud, but when you're idling and you're just sitting somewhere, you hear the oil pump. And honestly, my car is so loud that it's louder than the oil pump, but I can still hear it. And personally, with some things, I'm OCD, and it bothers me enough where I was like, screw it. If I'm going to already be doing all this, that's the route we're going to go. So there's that. And the last other thing that's going to be different from the kit, or the last upgrade that we're going to be doing, as I mentioned, and the last thing that we're going to be doing, as I mentioned, we kept having issues where we were over boosting. So what we're going to end up doing in the last change to the kit slash car that we're going to end up doing is I'm going to end up running a tile wastegate. So if you guys don't already know, I'm running a tile Q blow off valve, and honestly I think it looks amazing, but to match everything else I ended up getting a tile wastegates, and also we're going to be installing a 7-pound spring, so that way on spring pressure we're no longer going to be over boosting. Hopefully this should help us, and that way we can ensure we're always hitting target boost. And honestly, once I get this car back up and running, I'm literally going to be leaving the car on 7 or 8 pounds all the time. That's going to be the daily. Of course, because of the electronical boost control, I can turn it up to 10, up to 14. The most I'm probably ever going to run on this car is 11, and that's going to be like if I want to race people. But my daily is going to be 7, and that hopefully should prevent us from ever over boosting. Of course, the carry comes with the wastegate, and it did do its job, but somehow we still over boost. So mentally, I'm just trying to eliminate things that potentially added to that. You know, maybe it was a plumbing issue that I did. Maybe it was the wastegate that wasn't opening up all the way. Honestly, don't know, and I can't put my nose on where the issue is, but again, hopefully this is going to fix that issue. And honestly, even though no one's ever going to see this because it literally sits on the bottom of the car, it's going to be an awesome piece because it is going to match the one, it's red just like my car, and then 2, it's going to match the blow off valve. Now they have red on red. So again, tile blow off valve, still haven't got it together. But yeah, that pretty much wraps this video. Again, a lot of it is just I bought a lot of maintenance parts for this engine. What came off of, like I said, came off a 2017 Mustang that had 48,000 miles, so it was a lot less than what my car had when I first bought it, and obviously a lot less miles than that engine has right now. Like I said, it has 124 or 8, somewhere around that range, so it's been through some stuff. So I'm hoping that this engine being a lot newer and a lot less miles is going to be able to support the boost and be able to have a happy life for up to a year. Because again, next year, sometime in 2024, I can promise you guys, and I'm going to end up saving this clip so that when it happens, we're going to be buying a 5.0, and I'm going to be buying a Grabber Blue 2015 Mustang, and that is literally my goal for next year. So again, guys, enough rambling. Just again, want to say a huge shout out to everyone who's been watching the channel, who's been subscribing. Again, we still have a lot of things to come. Again, the video of me finally reacting to hitting boost, like genuinely hitting it. I want to have a reaction with me and my friends, and just again, we have a lot of things coming. But guys, the one thing I really do want to mention, and the one thing I really want people to get out of this video, if you guys don't get anything from this video, is honestly, sometimes we are thrown with a lot of things, a lot of chaotic things. Sometimes you think the world's falling on you. You have bad times. You know, you feel like you're unlucky, that you're just in the worst circumstances. And honestly, sometimes you're in a dark place and you feel like you can't get out of it. But I'm telling you, there's always a brighter side. There's always better things on the other side. You just got to keep your mind in the right place. You got to keep reminding yourself this will get better. Everything happens for a reason, and you cannot give up. I'm personally telling you this because when this thing happened, when everything happened with the engine, not only was that something that affected me, but I had other life things that were piling up, and honestly, it just felt like everything was against me at that time. And I just told myself, we're going to get out of this, and you know, we're not fully out of the situation, but I can definitely see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I want to tell everyone who's watching this, do not give up. Whatever you're going through, do not give up. You got this, and I believe in every single one of you guys. You guys are more than capable of conquering whatever's going on. Just push through. Just keep telling yourself it's going to get better, and it will. I promise you that. But with that, guys, hope you guys all have wonderful holidays, and you guys got to remember, you got to grind to shine. And with that being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace out.